All right, friends, does everybody have the compression program starter file open?
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and click remix. Even if you've done this already, friends, please make a new copy. Okay? All right. Before we start, though, I do want to go through one quick thing. All right, check this out. We're going to use this statement to test today, and we're going to use I like apples. Okay?
Why do you like apples?
No reason. It's just a good test string to use. Now, friends, remember this. If I type this into Scratch, we're going to call this a string, right? Can someone just remind me what a string is again?
It's a statement.
It's a statement or a sentence, but it could be anything. All it is a grouping of characters inside quotation marks in most programming languages. Okay? It doesn't matter if they're numbers or symbols or letters or words. It doesn't matter if they make sense. It's just a type of information that's stored as characters. Okay? So, friends, remember, this statement right here, when it gets saved into a computer program, each of these characters is given a position. It's given a number position. So, for example, in Scratch, here's what happens. This first letter is in position 1. The space is in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Each one of those characters is represented by a number. Do you remember what we call this number?
Index.
Yeah, it's the index. So if I were to say what character is at index 10, what would it be?
10.
P. The character
letters.
P, is at index 10 in this string. Does that make sense? Okay. So friends, the way we write this program, this compression program, is what we need to first do is we need to be able to iterate through the string. Shh. Friends, please whisper if you're talking in the back. Okay, we need to iterate through the string. So here's what happens. We're going to create a loop. And what we're going to do with that loop is we're going to start first at index 1. We're going to look at index 1. Then we're going to go to index 2, which is the space. Then 3, then 4, then 5, all the way down until I get to the last index. So if I were going to run this loop to go through each and every character of this string, how many times would I need to run this particular loop?
13.
13 times, right? Why 13, Abdul?
Because there's 13 characters in the string.
Yeah, there's 13 characters in it. So another way we can think about that is the length of the string, or length of the original message, or whatever we call it. So in order for us to do this program, we have to start at index 1, and we need to use a loop to iterate and look through each one of these characters. And each time we do this, we got to add 1 to our index. So we need to add 1 to our index, so then we can look at index 2, 3, 4, etc. Okay? So let's try this out. In Scratch, first thing, go ahead and click the green flag and just tell me what the program does so far. Real quick.
It asks you to enter again.
Okay, so it asks us to enter a string. I like apples is what I'll type in. This is recording, right? Yeah, okay. And so you can see a message gets saved to I like apples, index is 1, nothing else happens, right? So first things first, here's how this program is going to work. All it's going to do is it is going to transfer this message into this new message, except it is not going to include the vowels unless there's a space that's in front of it. Okay? If there's a vowel that has a space in front of it, we do include that vowel in the new message. Otherwise, we skip it. Also, we got to keep the very first character of the string. Even if it's a vowel, we keep it. Okay? So let's do this first. We're going to first skip these two this if statement and this else if. We're going to start with the else. So here's what I'd like you guys to do. Go over to variables and grab a set block. Drop it in the else. Set block, drop it in the else. Let's change the set to new message. Like so. And then go over to operators, grab a join block, drop it there, and grab a letter 1 of Apple block and drop it in the second join space. Does everybody see that? If you can't see also, you can move up here if it's easier. Totally up to you, though. You don't have to. All right, so friends, look. I just want to show you what happens when we do this first part. So our new message, if you look up here, new message is a variable, and it's totally empty. There's nothing in there. So when we run this loop, we're going to join and actually go over to variables real quick and grab the new message variable and drop it in the first join slot. So we're going to set the variable new message to whatever is currently in new message, and that is empty. Okay, it's totally empty. We are going to join that with letter, grab the index block and drop it in letter number. And if you look up here, index is currently 1. So we're going to add letter 1 of, grab the message block. And if you remember, message is the original thing we've typed in. So what's happening here, we're going to join letter 1, we're going to join whatever's in new message, which is empty, with letter 1 of the original message. Okay? And how many times do you think we're going to repeat this process?
10.
It currently says 10, but what do we actually want to do? We want to do the length of the original string, so the length of the message. So go to operators, grab length of Apple, drop it in the repeat block,
Like the message.
but put the message variable right there. All right, go ahead and click run. Tell me what happens when we do this.
Why can't you just put index in there?
We are going to, actually. I want you to click the green flag and tell me what happens first.
They repeated.
Oh, you did length or I thought you did length.
Oh, no.
They repeated the
So,
first letter of the message.
Yeah, I like Apple. Or, sorry. I like Apple. I like apples. There we go. Okay, so if you look right here, all it did was add 11. Or, sorry, it added L. No, that's I. It added an uppercase I 13 times. Okay. It did that because we did not tell it to go on to the next index in the string. So go over here and grab a change block, put the change block underneath the set block, and we're going to change index by 1 each time. Click the green flag, type in I like apples, tell me what happens when you hit enter. What happened?
It gave my message back to me.
Okay, it straight copied the entire message into new message. Does that make sense? Here's the original message, here's the new message. Same thing, right? What are we trying to get rid of, friends?
The vowels.
Okay, vowels and what else? 2 things we're trying to get rid of.
Oh, double letters?
Yes, we're trying to get rid of duplicate letters if they are sitting next to each other. So as a matter of fact, let's do the duplicate letters next because that's the trickiest. That's easier than the other part. All right, so let's do this next. Let's go to the else if statement. And actually, sorry, before we do that, just take a look at what's actually happening here. We type in a message, it gets saved, and then for the length of the message, we add each letter to the new variable. However, we don't want to add a letter if it has another letter that's exactly the same before it. So go to operators, grab an equals block, drop it in the else if slot. Drop it in the else if slot. And let's actually just duplicate. Do you see where it says letter index of message? Just duplicate that block and set it right there. So what I want to do is I want to say if this statement, if this, and actually grab another equals block and just put it right here. Yeah. If this equals, oh wait, never mind, my bad. No, you're right. Sorry. Put this in this block here, sorry. And you can actually get rid of this equals block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if a certain character is equal to the character that comes before it, we are not going to add it to our new message. So let's say this letter right here is currently nothing. Go ahead and duplicate this little block of code one more time. And then go to operators and grab a minus block and just set it kind of to the side here. And we're going to put the index block inside the first part of the minus block. And I'm going to do index -1. And basically what I'm saying is, and I'm going to drop that back into letter. So let's say, friends, let me just show you what's happening here real quick. I'm saying letter index of message, if that is equal to letter index -1 of message, we are not going to add that letter to our new message. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say we were right here. I would look, and let's look at this one here. If this is the index that I'm looking at, index 10, if index 10 is equal to index 10 -1, which would be what?
9.
This one, right? If this letter is equal to this letter, we do not add it to our message. And that's exactly what we're going to do right here. So instead of doing this where we add the letter, we're going to go to variables. We're going to say change index by 1. We are just going to skip it. We are not going to add it to our new message. And also, I want to count how many repeats I'm skipping. So I'm going to say change repeats by 1. I'll give you just a second to look at that and make your screen look like mine. All right, let's try this real quick. Can you guys type in I like apples and tell me what happens? All right, did that catch the duplicate letter? Okay. So far, it's doing exactly what we want it to. However, it's still keeping the vowels, correct? Let's get rid of the vowels. Let's do that. How many vowels are there? Not including Y.
5, 6.
5. Yeah, 5. So let's do this. Go ahead and duplicate the letter index of message. Grab an equals block. And we're going to say if whatever letter we're looking at, if that equals an A, I'll zoom this in a little bit so you can see it. This equals an A. Duplicate it again, or an E, or an I, oops, or an I, or an O, or a U, or a U. So you should have 5 blocks that are checking to see if it's a vowel. Now, friends, you could do this the opposite direction. You could actually look for consonants only, but you got a lot more consonants than vowels, right? I'd probably stick with vowels.
Yep.
Now, watch this. Let's grab an OR block, and let's drop the OR blocks into the first if statement.
Then add another OR block.
Yeah, you should need 4 OR blocks in total to fit all of the vowels. 1,
Yeah,
2.
you need one more.
I need 1 more. Yeah, 4 OR blocks. Now, friends, look, I am choosing the OR Boolean Because a letter cannot be more than one letter at the same time, right? A letter cannot be A and E at the same time. It can be one or the other. So now please drop the A in the first OR slot, then E. Ah,
I'd say just zoom out. It's so much easier.
it is easier. Thank you.
Oh, I did.
Shoot.
You have to zoom out, otherwise you won't put it in.
God. All right. So it should look something like this. I'll zoom in just so you can see it real quick. But basically it says if the letter is an A or an O or an E or an I or an O or a U, are we going to add that letter to our new message? We are not. We don't want the vowels. So check this out. We're going to do the same thing we did here. So just duplicate this little chunk of code. But instead of counting repeats, we're going to count vowels. Go ahead and run your code once you do that and tell me what happens.
It gives me I know peace.
Okay, so here's what we got. We have a space here. We have LK space PLS.
I can. Wait.
Nope, this is the L.
Oh.
I wish in Scratch the I's and the L's look different, but they don't. Friends, what is wrong with this?
It doesn't have the first one.
Doesn't have the first letter. What else does it not have?
It doesn't have a peace.
It has one P, which it's supposed to, but it's missing one thing.
The A right.
Correct. So there should be an A here. There should be an A there. Because our original message, friends, if there is a space in front of a letter, no matter what that letter is, it needs to add that letter to our new message. So here's how we can fix that. Let's do the space first. I only want to skip the letter if it's a vowel. I do not want to skip it if it has a space in front of it. If it has a space in front of it, we want to add it. So let's grab a not block. Drop the not block there. There's a not block. Not is like super important, believe it or not. I use not all the time.
I do not use not all the time.
No? Okay. So friends, do this. Here's what we're going to copy. We are going to come down. Do you remember where we had the block where we looked at index -1? Duplicate that little chunk of code so it looks like that. Letter index 1 of message. Bring it up here. We're going to see if the letter or the character in front, the character behind the character that we're looking at, if that does not equal a space. If it does not equal a space. So watch this. I'm going to put this in the first part of the equals block. I'm going to delete the 50 so that there's nothing there, and you have to physically put a space in there. And you can see the space when you highlight it. Do you see the space there? That's a space. And drop this in the not. We only skip the vowel if it does not have a space in front of it. Only if it does not have a space in front of it.
Where do we put this up?
All right, watch. Grab an and block this time.
I see.
And we're going to put the not in the first slot of the and block.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter where you put it, but oops.
Then we put the letter thingy index.
Yeah, now watch this, guys. This part's a little tricky, so just watch this part. You're going to put your entire or block inside of the and block. And put the entire thing back into the if statement.
No.
Perfect. Perfect. So friends, this is kind of important. So I just want you to think about this for just a second, okay? In order for us to skip the vowel, it cannot have a space in front of it and it's a vowel, okay? So if this is false or this is false, this will not happen. All right, run your code. Tell me what happens. I like apples. All right, friends, can you see this here? So far, we're almost there. The only thing we need to do is make it skip the first letter or the first character. We are going to need another and, so let's do this first. Grab an and block. And go ahead and grab this entire giant chunk of code and stick it in the second and slot. And stick the whole thing back in.
Wait, what happened?
So all we did, one more and block.
Wait, why do we need another and block?
Because, so look, watch this. Look what happens when you type in I like apples. So if I click here and I type in I like apples,
Yeah.
watch what happens. Oops. What am I missing?
Oh, the first letter.
The first letter. So I need to do one more thing. So what we're going to do,
Put the whole not thingy.
Mr. D, so what is the not block?
This one I already had an and.
the not is the opposite of something. Yeah. Son of a. All right, hold on.
Well, you had an and.
All right, so look. The reason we're using the not block is because we want to skip the vowel unless there's a vowel that has a letter in, or has a space in front of it. So I'm only skipping the vowel if it does not have a space in front of it. If it does have a space in front of it, we're adding it to the new message. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're just singling out the first letter.
Say that again.
So you're singling out the first letter of the message.
Correct.
Yep.
Well, this is what we're doing now. This right here, all this does is, like, for example, the A right here, it did not skip the A because it had a space in front of it. So it added it from this message to the new message. Right? But it got rid of the E because the E does not have a space in front of it. So it skipped the E. It didn't add the E to the new message, but it does add the A to the new message. Okay, so drag this whole thing, put it in the second and block. Now here, this one is actually, so like when I first wrote this program, this was the one thing that I could not wrap my head around at first. But what's that?
The concept of and.
No, the concept of this. Grab a greater than block and put it in the first and slot.
That's an interesting choice.
And then grab a variable and put index. And put index is greater than 1. So here's what needs to happen in order for us to skip a vowel. In order for us to skip a vowel, the index has to be bigger than 1. So the first time we run the loop, the index is 1. So no matter what that letter is, it will skip this chunk of code. And then it's going to check, is that letter equal to the letter that comes before it? Well, it can't be because it's the first letter. So it's going to skip this. So then it adds the very first character to the new message.
So now if I go, I like apples.
Try it out. Does it work?
No. That's not what I got.
I still don't get my A.
Wait, what?
You need a not block. So this little chunk of code here is why you're not getting the A. Let me just show you real quick. Not letter index -1 of message. And there has to be a space in here, Sophia. And you've got index -1.
No.
I'm missing a second and block.
Oh.
Index -1 goes in the letter slot.
Yeah.
Makes a lot more sense.
Friends, try our like main test message, which is I will arrive in Mississippi really soon.
Wait, Mr.
Yo.
What did I call you?
And it looks like it works.
Okay, right here.